So for those of you that just joined us, we live on the PROPreneurX webinar. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the leadership team to introduce themselves, as well as give you a little bit of background on their organizations, as well as their involvement on the PROPreneurX program. We're going to start with you, Mhlolo. Mhlolo, just remember to unmute.
About that. So thank you very much, Jessry. Just saying, as you have already Mhlolo Slala, and I'm coming from the organization Kagiso Trust. I've been in the small business development for quite some time, for a span of about 15 years, where we have met women and men entrepreneurs who are actually out there making it happen, and I'm looking forward to this webinar.
Thank you so much, Mhlolo, and I'm going to hand over to Ipeleng Mokgari from Motseng Investment Holdings.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ipeleng Mokgari. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Motseng Investment Holdings. Thank you so much, Jayashree, for the invitation. We're an organization that has been participating very actively as a service provider and landlord in the commercial property sector. We are exceptionally delighted to be part of PROPreneurX because it forms part and parcel of our story and part and parcel of what we want to provide and give back to the industry, particularly in the support of entrepreneurs. Motseng was started by 2 entrepreneurs 22 years ago. And so we believe very, very much in the development of entrepreneurs, particularly in this property sector. We also are a very strong proponent and supporter of developing, gender diversity in this sector as well. So it's a real pleasure to be here with my colleagues this morning.
Thank you so much, Ipeleng. And before we hear from some of the amazing entrepreneurs also on this program, I'd like to hand over to Gary from SASTEC. Gary.
Thank you, Jayashree. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to everyone. My name is Gary Joseph. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Supplier Diversity Council. Our organization operates in the interest of supporting the transformation of corporate supply chains, enabling those supply chains with the collaborative approach that we take to be accessible to Black-owned businesses within our country. We form part of a network of 6 councils operating on a similar business model globally, and we look at every opportunity that we can to promote the interest of linkages between minority businesses and Black businesses in our ecosystem to supply chains across the globe. We particularly keen to be part of being part of this initiative from the onset, because the development of Black businesses within the commercial property space is an area of opportunity that we believe through the proactive approach taken by Kagiso Trust, as well as Motseng Investment Holdings, that we can create a game changer together in terms of transforming that environment. I look forward to the session, and thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And for those of you that I have not met in person or online, my name is Jayashree Naidu, and I'm the CEO of Yidi, and we are the content providers on the business development component of the PROPreneurX program. So over the last couple of months, we have had the privilege of working very closely with these entrepreneurs that are servicing the property industry. And I'm going to now hand over to some of these entrepreneurs to introduce themselves and their businesses as well. Let's start with you, Mokgadi.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Mohadi Melwa. I am the founder and CEO of BuildFix. BuildFix was one of the top 12 companies that were chosen to be part of the PROPreneurX accelerator program. We have been in operation since 2017. We are in the construction and property restoration sector. We currently servicing insurance companies and banks in terms of building restorations for their claims for their clients. And we also have a building material supply division where we supply innovative building material solutions, such as build kits, which is a consolidated plumbing and electrical building material supply that is packaged according to your house plan specification. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. And we are very excited to be part of this panel discussion and the webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mukhadi. And over to you, Spumi.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much, Jeffrey, for an opportunity. My name is Spumi Mabena. I am the co-founder of SI Investment, a company that is into construction. We have tailor-made solutions for all construction needs. We have a background within the real estate. We also do a lot of maintenance. We are currently working under Joshco, where we do a lot of renovations, a lot of development around the inner city in Johannesburg. We also work very close with Ekurhuleni, with a project around that talks to development and construction. So yeah, we are part of the PROPreneurX program. We have an opportunity, great opportunity to be part of it, and we're loving it. We are growing every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spumi. And lastly, Umpo, welcome.
Morning all. My name is Umpo Nangu. I'm the founder and the CEO of Nangu Investment, currently trading as Nangu Facilities Management, which was born in 2008 with the passion that I worked as a lease administrator and a property manager for the likes of PropNet, a division of Transnet in the retail sector, and I worked for Liberty Properties, R&B Properties as a property manager. So when I invented Nangu Facilities, it was the passion and the knowledge and the experience. So we decided to specialize and offer our customers total facilities management over the last 10 years. So we've gained huge experience and exposure and knowledge that we are offering our customers. Yeah, and we've grown so far. We do have working outside Gauteng and other provinces in the Northwest and in Mpumalanga. So we've grown quite big, and we had an opportunity to have an access to markets in the private subcontract at FNB by Impact as a subcontractor. It's a 36-month contract for us, so it has given us exposure. Hence, when we joined the PROPreneurX, it was the intention of having access to private sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umpo. There's a slight lag on your line. It might be a connectivity issue. So for those of you that have just joined us, please forgive us. We're at the mercy of connectivity and internet connectivity in these times of online webinars. And if you have just joined us, you've joined the leadership team of the PROPreneurX program, as well as entrepreneurs. If you've joined us on Facebook Live, unfortunately, we won't be able to take any of your questions, but you are welcome to place your questions on the chat function, and we'll ensure that the leadership team and entrepreneurs get to those. So Ipeleng, we started conversations, I think almost a year ago, in terms of designing this program and launching it in a way that addresses some of the demands of the property industry. Can you share with some of the attendees why you decided, together with Kagiso Trust and SASTEC, to invest in a program that targets the growth and development of property entrepreneurs in particular?
Thanks, Jayshree. Yes, it's been quite a journey, Jayshree. It's been a year of this process in terms of the design and implementation, and almost a year prior to that, just in terms of discussion. So it's been a long time coming for the partners, and it's just exciting that the actual accelerator is in action. You know, the property industry in South Africa, the commercial property industry, together with residential and government, has got a value of about 5.3 trillion in South Africa. It's a massive industry, and it's one that, when you look at the various parts, or some of the parts that contribute to it, they are quite varied. So you have commercial being buildings like office blocks, shopping centers, industrial centers, hospitality being hotels. You could even add things like hospitals and so forth. Then you have the residential sector, which is even larger than the commercial property sector. And then you have government. And I believe that certainly for Mutsing, and I believe the different partners who've come on board, it was so important for us to begin to unpack and understand how we begin to involve and really accelerate the entrepreneurs within this very large sector. Jayshree, personally, I know how hard it has been for Mutsing to grow. It has taken us decades, literally, to be recognized, to build a brand, to be trusted. And, it takes a long time to do that. And when we started our journey 22 years ago in 1998, one of the first things we did in 2001 was to launch what we called Mutsing Marriott Property Services. Nobody knew us. There were no accelerators. There were no opportunities like these where you could collaborate with industry leaders, and people who are actually interested in developing your business to take it forward. It really was a bootstrapping kind of opportunity at the time. And I just believe that 2 decades later, there are different ways in which we are able to provide support, information, and hopefully even access to markets for entrepreneurs. And it's for me very important that we look at the property sector, because it is a growing market. It has been a phenomenally growing market, certainly in the last decade. And I think that when you look at the number of entrepreneurs who are necessarily, I would call, marginalized, there are many, but not enough that are actually seriously being able to be taken forward. So those are some of the reasons why, for me, this sector was so important, and why the partnership was so critical to making this particular accelerator important and recognizable to people out there in the market.
Thank you, Ipeleng. And I'd like to acknowledge any individuals that have joined us now live, as well as the EXCO team members of the various companies that we are working with, especially as partners of this program. So Mshlolo, you contacted me, I think, via LinkedIn a while ago, and we started this conversation. So we're just one of the partners, as Ipeleng mentioned, in this PROPreneur program. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to engage with partners like Mutsing and SASTEC as well as part of this program, and what do you think it means for the success of a program like this?
Thank you, Jayshree. And as you just said, I would also really like to acknowledge our ESCO, and I believe our chairperson, Reverend Frank Chikane, will also be joining us. It's really because of the nature of Conducive Trust. When we conceptualized the program. And we believe in partnerships because problems are so huge in the industry. I mean, as Ipeling has already said, that the property industry is about just over 5 trillion industry, so it's massive, and its contribution to the GDP is also massive. So as an organization, we believe that entrepreneurship is key and extremely critical for the country to grow and to develop. If you look at the statistics currently of small businesses, you find that the NDP says by the year 2030, which are only just 10 years to go, small businesses should be contributing about 90% of all the jobs which will have been created. But on the other end, you find statistics which are saying that over 80% of small businesses will not see the end of day past 2 years. So it's really a contradiction. So as an organization, we sit back and we say, how do you enable the small businesses to actually be the key drivers of the economy? On the other side, saying that small businesses don't succeed. Therefore, there needed to be an intervention on how we can make our small businesses to be sustainable and to actually grow and contribute in the economy. What makes small businesses to fail, as Tess puts it, is so much of the experience that small businesses will have. And it will need partners to mentor, to handhold, for them to be successful. And I must say that just most of women and men who are there as entrepreneurs are not looking out for hands out, but they are really looking for opportunities. And it is only through collaboration, through the industry players, that they can actually give these businesses an opportunity, because small does not necessarily mean poor quality. The guys are quite good in terms of what they actually produce. So that is the reason why Sky also trusts we thought that to create small sustainable businesses, you really need partners who have been in the industry, who knows what they're doing, so that these businesses can succeed.
Thank you so much, Msholo. Gary, your organization, I find fascinating because you get to work with suppliers of all sizes and from all sectors, but also you get to also work with organizations and the large corporates. And, exactly what Msholo said, small does not equal unprofessional. We have some amazing entrepreneurs on this program whose quality of services are right up there with the best of breed in industry. So tell us a little bit about how we demystify some of these myths, and how do we get corporates to start taking small businesses a lot more seriously and bring them into their supply chains?
Thanks, Joshua. That's a challenging question. There are virtually 3 areas of barrier within the value chains and supply chains of many corporations. It's the institutional barriers, structural barriers as a result of the economy, institutional barriers as a result of the way in which organizations have been structured as a legacy of an unequal society created through apartheid. And then there's the type of thing that's difficult to address, which is cultural barriers. Within our area of work, in order to ensure that access to opportunities become real for small and Black businesses, it is critical that there's a process of procurement enablement that happens. And the best way for that to take place is through the collaboration and engagement and interaction that has to take place between corporate buyers and the opportunities that we create for small businesses to actually network and to put forward what their value offerings are beyond a business card and beyond a colorful profile. Business is about trust. Business is about relationships, and getting buyers to actually interact on a more frequent basis with suppliers coming into that space that want to give them alternative solutions, wants to give them more value. And we find that with Black businesses, there's a clear understanding that they need to be putting not just their best foot forward, but there's something more that buyers are looking for, and the type of innovation that is taking place within those businesses, giving them the platforms to be able to expose that is a key component of changing our economy and moving them from being marginalized into the mainstream procurement space of many corporates. So unbundling all of that requires, like Matlolo says, it requires collaboration. It requires us to recognize as different stakeholders within the space what those barriers are, and to look at ways in which we can address the removal of those barriers in order to create a conducive environment. I always say that we have to look at how our economy impacts on us as individuals. And corporate supply chains, although it's a B2B space, the knock-on effect of that affects us as consumers. So when we start looking at the type of opportunities that we want to create, it's about value creation. And small and nimble businesses are what many corporates are, especially now during COVID-19, realizing what they've been missing out on all along, because these are the players that are now able to provide the goods and services that a national lockdown has prevented them from sourcing. And the business continuity that we are seeing being needed at this point in time, I'm hoping it's going to create even further demand and further opportunities for businesses such as those on the PROPreneurX program.
Thank you, Gary. I mean, you make such important points, especially the ability to pivot in times like this. With this pandemic, we've seen many of our entrepreneurs on this program, in fact, and the individuals that I've invited to join us today have actually pivoted their businesses to ensure that they can leverage off the opportunities that have come with this pandemic. So Mpumi, I want to now get to you in terms of, I'd like you to share with some of our attendees how you've actually pivoted your business and how have you benefited and continue benefiting from the PROPreneurX program, with some real examples so that others can benefit from some of your learnings as well. So over to you, Mpumi.
All right, so thanks, Joshua. What we did is to capture the crisis. We realized that there is a challenge that exists now. The COVID is affecting us negatively. We're in construction, so the sites we are working at had to be closed. Projects stopped. We find ourselves having to be frustrated. But then we sat down and we said, look, there's an opportunity. There is an opportunity that exists within the COVID space. So we created a program where we said to ourselves, we are going to respond to the challenge now. And what we did with our company, we started looking at opportunities, and lucky enough, we were able to meet up with big business like ITA and Batatu Group, companies that were providing solution to the COVID-19. So they were supplying, those companies were created a beautiful sanitization booth, which is using the sanitizer to clean a person that walks inside it. You know, we looked at that, and this company was saying, look, this is something that will definitely help within the space. And good enough, we're able to have an agreement with them to say, look, we're entrepreneurs. We can sell this product if we are able to talk as an agreement in how are we going to share profits. And they agreed. So we started selling the sanitization booth. We started selling other products like your mask. We started selling the sanitizers. And we're able to get clients. We're able to do a bit of business with different companies. And the frustration was then less because there was a bit of movement within the business itself. So yeah, that's what we did. And the good thing is that with the help from Jayshree, we were able to get an advice. You know, it was a new thing for us to read contracts, to negotiate with people who have been in this in a business for a long time. So the program itself, through the leadership of you, Jayshree, helped us to negotiate better. You know, helped us to talk to other clients who might need the product itself. And every time when we engaged with them, the things that we did not know, we're able to answer better because we had somebody who as somebody just mentioned, who was holding us with a hand on negotiations. Yeah, so it helped us. It helped us survive through the crisis itself. And somebody once said something that, you know, you're an entrepreneur. You must always think, how best can you solve a situation? How best can you capture a crisis? And good enough, with the program, on one of the program that you gave us, that to think innovatively, you know, the thinking itself, how to think, how to market, how to position a product. And we took these products we've got, it helped us position them the right way within our media space, and we were able to sell, we were able to get some deals. And yeah, that for us helped in as far as getting the business to be stable. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Spumi. So Umpo, earlier Peleng mentioned when we were designing this program, one of the key focus areas was access to markets. I'd really like you to share with the attendees, as well as the rest of the panel, how you've managed to access market opportunities as a result of the program, but also how you've pivoted your business and what have you taken away from the PROPreneurX program so far?
Thank you, Jayshree. Fortunately for NAMPO facilities, during the COVID-19, we are offering an essential service, so we couldn't lock down or shut down our services. So since lockdown, we've been up and running. We had a permit to travel around, so we couldn't close, and our staff was on site full time up to this day. What I can say, what we decided to do as a company was to quickly diversify during the COVID, to add and amend our services. We had to add in our services to sanitization and disinfecting and deep cleaning. We had to diversify and add those services because everything else had stopped. We don't have a huge number of clients. It's a few, but it kept us going because we are offering facilities management currently. So we diversified, we added disinfecting, we got certified during the COVID regulation. We had to abide by that. So we are currently now compliant regarding the COVID regulations, because everything that you do, entering the building, entering the premise, we had to make sure that our health and safety, including our staff, our contractors, everybody else that works with us, they comply so that we can offer a quality service to our client. And luckily for us, we are humbled that our first COVID-19 client was Mutsing, which actually recommended us to do their sanitization. We quickly jumped to an opportunity it only took us a day or two to make sure we arranged for ourselves to go and sanitize the building, to offer them cloth masks. It's 30 staff members. It was 2 per staff, to make sure to organize hand sanitizers per staff member on their desk, the wipes, the lights, and everything else. So we are humbled and honored to have been offered that opportunity, for having been trusted and believed in us. So what I can say to Mutsing, they believed in us. They showed that charity begins at home. It started with us. They are mentoring us for a good reason. So they trusted and believed that Nangu Facilities will offer that opportunity. And for you, Jay, you didn't look elsewhere. You looked inside the PROPreneurX team. And again, also, Kagiso Trust also called me over the weekend to come and sanitize their building. It's an honor. I'm honored that I managed to offer them sanitization of their building. We did deep cleaning for their building as well. So to me, I'm humbled to be afforded that opportunity, that the very same companies, leaders that are mentoring us as PROPreneurX believed in our service, believed in Nangu Facilities. So yeah, what I can say, what I've taken away during the PROPreneurX, the exposure that this program has given Nangu Facilities, it's massive. Like I say, we are humbled, we've been exposed, we've been taught, like my colleagues Pumi mentioned, we've been taught how to be innovative, how to diversify, how to strategize, things that we didn't know, because as Nangu Facilities, we kept on doing one thing and one thing and one thing, and we kept on looking for opportunities to access the market. Like Ipileng has said, it's very difficult as a Nangu Facilities female black-owned company wanting to access that market. There were challenges, but one thing that we never gave up was to not stop searching, stop looking, stop marketing, being visible, going out there, taking this opportunity with PROPreneurX. I didn't say I know. I didn't say I've got experience. I've been there. I could see it was very difficult to access this market, the property facilities market, because of the challenge that we have, lack of support, lack of SMME support, lack of skills. So never say no. So hence I say I'm humbled and I'm honored that I took this opportunity. I've grown and I've been exposed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Impo. And I still remember, and I'm sure all of you do, because Gary, Peleng, and Mashtolo, you were there on the adjudication panel when Impo presented to us to be afforded the opportunity to get a seat on this program. And the one thing I know I was blown away by, Impo, is your willingness to help grow other entrepreneurs before even getting onto the program. I still remember you saying, I want to get onto this program, not just to learn, but so that I can help mentor other entrepreneurs. And I think that's such an important focus for so many programs, to be able to help grow one another, because entrepreneurship can be an extremely lonely space to be in, and sometimes really challenging. So thank you, Impo, for doing exactly what you told us you would do in the adjudication selection panel. And I see all the time how you are willing to help other entrepreneurs, share opportunities with them, collaborate. And collaboration is so important for a program like this to be successful. So Malkodi, before we move on to the leadership team again, for any of you that have joined us, we on the PROPreneurX webinar, feel free to use the chat function if you have any questions. If you'd like to speak to the panel or to other attendees, please raise your hand and I'll unmute you. So Mukodi, I'm going to move over to you. Please tell me a little bit about how you have pivoted your business. I know you've got an extremely innovative product as well. And what have you taken away from this PROPreneur program so far?
Okay. Let's start with the pivot. To be totally honest, the COVID pandemic did hit us with the blow. We had to quickly pivot from our core service offering, And I believe that's the beauty of being an SMME. It's the speed of one to adjust to agility and be able to turn in terms of your service offering. So what we did during the COVID pandemic is that we diversified into PPE offering. So we diversified and started locally manufacturing 3-ply surgical masks and overalls. So we, at the moment, have 2 factories running in Pretoria and in the Vaal Triangle. Through collaborations and the skills that we've learned through the YD training workshops, such as sales and marketing, we were able to position ourselves to get access to markets. We're currently servicing 10 spa retail shops in the Gauteng North region in the Pretoria area. And we also got a contract with Air Liquide and Vital Care healthcare services to supply them with medical coveralls, which really helped us in terms of getting us access to revenues to be able to maintain a going concern for our business, because our core service offering, which was building material supply and property restoration, were badly affected during the pandemic. So we have taken a lot of training and capacitating and valuable skills from the YD training opportunities that we received. We had the opportunity to be exposed to various industry experts that assisted us in terms of helping us with HR structures, putting proper structures in place, how to market your business properly, how to have proper legal structures and documents in place. So that really helped us a lot, because it helped us streamline our structures in operations. So the big things that we've taken away, in addition to that, is the valuable network that we've been exposed to, only with the sponsors and stakeholders, but our fellow PROPreneurX entrepreneurs who have various experience and technical expertise, and the opportunities that we have shared amongst ourselves is something that is very much commendable. We've literally become a PROPreneurX family. That's how much we have learned from each other and continue to collaborate with each other. And we truly appreciate that opportunity. And yeah, that's it from our side.
Thank you, Mukhadi. So Mashlolo, as one of the brainchilds behind this program, how do you feel hearing some of these comments from these entrepreneurs, and has it met your expectation? And more importantly, what more do you think we need to do as ecosystem players to make the system work for property entrepreneurs?
Thank you, Jeffrey. I mean, this is our first program as partners, and the cause or the beneficiaries that we now have basically will be the first graduate, and it's just amazing the speed at which things happen. But we believe that it happened because of the entrepreneurs themselves wanted to see things happen. So the aim of the program was basically we're looking at both the jockey and the horse, to make sure that now we can help the entrepreneurs with the business fundamentals, but also help the person, because without the entrepreneur being well equipped, it doesn't matter how good the business idea is, it's definitely not going to be successful. I'll just give you an example of where we see these entrepreneurs and the program going. In 1995, which is just a year after we had our first democratic elections, Legacy Trust contributed in the establishment of the Johannesburg Housing Company, which currently has just over 30 buildings. And the people who were working far from their workplaces were now able to come closer and live in affordable quality housing. And you look at that company now, it's quite massive. And when you look at these entrepreneurs, this is exactly where we are looking or seeing them going. We don't just see them as small entrepreneurs, because you can create as many businesses as we can. But if you don't create quality businesses, it actually doesn't mean anything. So to us, we're seeing as a ecosystem, big businesses and small businesses can exist together. It's not them, and us. The question that we need to be addressing is, how do big businesses make sure that the small businesses also participate in the economy? I think that is quite key for us, because if they open those opportunities in terms of contracts for the small businesses to actually do the actual work, as I've said before, that we have entrepreneurs who are actually raising their hands, who are not saying we want handouts, they're basically raising their hands saying that, we want to grab opportunities. And I think we need to grow to that stage where we can see that parallel and coexistence of small and big businesses. So the ecosystem or the big businesses really need to open up in terms of the market. If you listen to all these entrepreneurs, the biggest challenge that they have is actually access to market. And we say they cannot be an excuse forever to say small businesses cannot deliver. We're saying here are the programs like the accelerator that will prepare these businesses. Now when they are ready, where do they go? And we're saying that then we need, therefore, to open our markets. And lastly, I can say, I think the challenge that we have is the issue of inclusivity. When I talk about inclusivity, I talk in terms of across racial and the gender divide. But also, so when you talk about inclusivity, we also need to look in terms of the size of the business. And I hope as PROPreneurX grows and other similar accelerator programs prepare this entrepreneur, there will be market platforms for the entrepreneurs to showcase that they can actually deliver.
Thank you so much, Masholo. And Gary, I saw you nodding your head profusely there as Masholo was sharing some of his comments. In some of the work we do, we talk about improving the innovation stack. When you focus on small businesses and when you focus on entrepreneurs and startups, it actually helps improve the innovation stack of an organization. And there are specific legislative frameworks that promote and encourage partnering with small businesses. And for us, one of the key areas was to ensure these entrepreneurs were supplier ready. And that's where SASTEC has played an amazing role, because every one of the entrepreneurs on PROPreneurX are SASTEC ready entrepreneurs. So Gary, just please share with me some of your comments on what Masholo has said and how important it is from an ecosystem perspective that we play our role in this journey.
Thank you, Jayshree. Mashlola hit the nail on the head. The issue of access to market is one thing. And from that, we're not talking about entrepreneurs pursuing that purchase order. They actually just want access to opportunity and being able to participate within the private sector environment to opportunities that they are exposed to gives them greater insight of what's happening within the marketplace and how they are, as a business, need to be responding to that. Because also out of the opportunity, whether they are successful with that opportunity or not, they're gaining experience, they are gaining knowledge that they are going to go and apply in their business. And as long as there isn't an inclusive approach to give these type of entrepreneurs like Mpo and Spumi and Mohadi access to those opportunities to competitively bid and see how competitive they are in the marketplace, we will continue to find the difficulty of bridging the divide between big and small. So there's a big role that big business has to play within this space. And when we started off the conversations, myself, Ipileng and Makolo, I can remember we still said that at this stage, just with the 3 parties involved, the intention is to grow PROPreneurX to be a special purpose vehicle for multiple players within the commercial property space. And the fundamental was, and Mtlolo drove this home, was build it and they will come. And we're hoping that actually as a result of the success that we've seen out of this program, and through the advocacy of not just us that are part of this panel, but also the participants on this call, to create awareness about PROPreneurX, that we will see more corporates willingly coming that play within the commercial property space to see how they can unlock value for themselves, because this is what this ecosystem is all about. When you go through a selection process for a program like this, the challenge is always to ensure that, as Mtlolo said, you've got the right horse and you've got the right jockey. And I think one of the critical success factors of the program so far has been that we've chosen excellent jockeys with great horses. And they were all able to meet the SASDC certification standards. There are some opportunities that some of them have been invited for already. Mohari, there's an opportunity that I'm going to be having the office contact you about now. Since you've pivoted your business into the manufacturing side of things, and we love to support local manufacturing. So, you know, if it wasn't for programs like this, we wouldn't know what Mohari has done. We wouldn't know what Nangu Facilities Management is doing differently within the marketplace, because there's so much information out there. But platforms like this elevate the innovation that comes from the entrepreneurs within the space. And our responsibility now is to ensure that we are optimizing every single channel at our disposal to give them visibility to those opportunities and to support them when they access those opportunities with delivering on it. Because the unfortunate thing is the success of Black business vests on the success of every single Black business who plays in the marketplace. A failure of one Black business is a general failure to all. That's just how the market perceives it. So we've got big responsibilities to carry, and I'm sure that we can see some great things coming from this program going forward.
Thank you so much, Gary. I mean, we all have great hopes for this program and hoping that we can scale and replicate and just offer so much more value to so many more entrepreneurs that need it. Gary, do you have a look at the chat line as well to see if there are any questions you want to respond to? While I move over to Ipeling. Ipeling, a few weeks ago, we had our leadership meeting. And, you know, we chatted very briefly about the massive bleeding that's happening within the commercial retail and retail space. Just, can you please talk us through some of this, and what do you think the impact of this has been on property entrepreneurs and those servicing the property sector?
Thanks, Jayshree. I think the COVID impact has been devastating, Jayshree, to be very honest and blunt. When you just take a look at the sectors you've just highlighted, retail being probably the most apparent to every consumer in the country, whether you're a property player or not, you would all know that you know, a lockdown of this nature for this long has had a significantly negative impact, both on the retailers who are trying to sell product, all the way down to large, all the way down to small, and particularly the small retailers. You know, if you just imagine a shopping center or someone you might know who might own a restaurant, a laundromat, whatever it might be, if people are not walking in the door, you're not making money. And yet your cost base is still the same. So it has been devastating. And therefore that impact has led all the way up to you know, the largest property funds and any property owner that impact, Jayshree, whether it's the commercial sector, whether it's hospitality in the hotels, whether it's in the retail sector, has a direct impact on entrepreneurs and the SME sector. Because for every client who is unable to generate revenue, they are unable to spend on their OPEX. And if you look at our entrepreneurs, we're all entrepreneurs who want to dabble a little bit in the OPEX budgets of our clients. You know, we want to provide something, manufacture something, maybe even build something for them. So this impact has just been so negative on the ecosystem. The initial statistics in South Africa and globally are also quite difficult to assess what that impact will be long term. So one of the things that I am, you know, advocating, particularly in the property industry, is to say, look, there's going to be the short-term impact, which we're feeling now. We're all feeling it because we've had to pivot. We've heard from all these entrepreneurs how they've had to shift their focus to do different things to be able to create revenue. It does mean that in the short term, you need to have a plan. In the medium term, I do believe, Jayshree, that the property market will rebound, albeit very slowly. It will take time because the kind of exposure that some of the large property funds that are listed on the JSE have had don't bode well, obviously, if you just imagine that the sector is big. So, you know, if some of the likes of like Growthpoint have had to stop paying distributions and dividends to their shareholders, you know, landlords who are not a Growthpoint have equally been affected and probably worse. But we need to remain hopeful because I think in the medium term, as we shift out of this COVID environment and as we have seen, we need to, as we also respond differently, so too are the very owners of properties saying, how do they shift? How do they make sure that they support their tenants? How do they make sure that they help their tenants to retain some space and to be able to continue operating? Because I think that's the most important. This program now, as we see it moving from level 3 and hopefully out of level 3, we're seeing a lot of smaller businesses being able to go back to work. These are the steps that we need to begin to start making as a country in order, Jayshree, to see you know, the security coming back slowly into the sector. So I think from a property point of view, I would imagine that when you imagine that long-term, you know, property is a long-term hold, and all of our entrepreneurs know that typically they're going to not just typical landlords, but they're also going to corporates to say, well, you've got this building. You might be now working from home. Maybe 50% of your teams will be working from home. How do we continue to support you even in that environment? And I think we need to, as PROPreneurX, continue to look at the medium to long-term opportunities that will continue to exist in this market. I have no doubt in my mind that they will. And when I listen to a number of leaders and commentators, it's interesting how obviously, you know, for individuals and companies who have got a little bit of some disposable income, there's also opportunity on the other side of this COVID environment. So from a residential point of view, you find that, and even a commercial point of view, it is going to be also those larger players who are able to pick up properties and opportunities cheaply at this point, hopefully, who will also begin to provide access to our entrepreneurs. I just want to make a comment because, Jayshree, outside of this COVID impact, barriers exist everywhere. Institutional, as Gary said, financial, cultural. This is another barrier that has potentially come into our lives, all of us, and has leveled the playing field for all of us. And I think probably one of the things that we can count as a blessing, as I sit here, is because business is so lonely, because it is so hard to lead on your own, and I think these three entrepreneurs know so well, one of the opportunities they have is to recognize the power of their own ecosystem. They are an ecosystem themselves. And as much as they are growing entrepreneurs, you have the opportunity to begin to form those bonds. And I know there have been. I say the same to many women and men who are Black. I think what we sometimes don't do very well as Black business people is to recognize that we are our own ecosystem. And when we begin to recognize the linkages and the opportunities, and Gary said it well earlier on, I know the pain of a young Black woman or man starting a business. Not to say that I wouldn't support any other individual, but I know the pain of these three. So I know that if I have a little bit that I can offer, it becomes that much more important. And I think this is the challenge that we have in the property sector, Jayashree. We need to see more big players of color. We desperately need to see more big players of color, because you have to have 100,000 Mutsings or 100,000 Delta property funds. You have to have 100,000 Rebosis. You have to have 100,000 Kagisos. You have to have 100,000 Caesar medical aids. You need 100,000 of all of those, because more of those mean we support the businesses that we understand and we know need the support. And the reality in South Africa, painful as it is, we as PROPreneurX need to understand that there are biases in our economy. There are real, deeply set biases, supplier biases, economic biases, and those biases are not going away tomorrow. They're not. And so as PROPreneurX entrepreneurs, we need to be able to understand, how do we not only understand what those biases are, but form our own biases? It's okay. It's not illegal. It's normal. It's right to support one another. It is the right thing that we need. So, you know, I just believe that for me, that's why PROPreneurX is so important. There are many other accelerators in our industry that I support, and I really, really take my hat off to them and kudos to them. But this one is important for me because you see the people that are in it.
Thanks so much, Ipeleng. You know, your passion always comes through, and that's one of the reasons it's so important when you're running, and this answers your question as well. I'm going to get to some questions now in the Q&A. So Chiboka, this answers one of your questions as well. As incubators and accelerators, it's so important to have the sector-specific individuals and organizations also driving the focus of what we're trying to achieve. So for us, one of the main success factors was to have partners like Kagiso and Sastek, but more importantly, have someone like a Mutsing who's in the middle of the property space, who understands the difficulties, who's been an entrepreneur and a small business that has grown to become one of those formidable businesses in the industry. So it's really important to have that sector focus. Ipeleng, I have two questions here that I think you can answer. I'm going to read them out to you, and then if you can respond after I've gone through both of them. So the first was, what have you done for tenants who have lost their income due to the COVID crisis? And second, Ipeleng mentioned the residential market. Is there any of the panelists in that space who can say what they are doing in that space? In my experience, I found that market to have big businesses monopolizing the market and creating barriers to entry that marginalizes small businesses like us. So if you can respond to those two questions, Ipeleng.
Thanks, Jayashree. So the first one is, in fact, we had one of our leading tenants in our long sale leaseback property. I mean, I won't necessarily say the name, but they approached us to say, you know, they have a manufacturing plant, Jayashree, they have a large regional distribution center, and it's the largest in Africa. And they couldn't operate. And because they couldn't operate, they desperately needed to be able to reduce their actual rental. And so typically what we've done for tenants is to negotiate with tenants to defer rental. And what is the reality, Jayashree, is that as a landlord, unfortunately, we can't say that they shouldn't pay rent. And here's the challenge, you know, so we had to defer, and deferring obviously is quite clear. I think we all understand it. The rent won't be paid in full now. We'll defer it to a later stage and therefore reduce the immediate impact by a certain percentage. I think we look at a reduction of about 30 to 40% of their rental. And we are hopeful that as we defer it, they will be able to pick up on their side as well and continue, running their business. The second comment you made, Jayshree, was about residential, if I'm correct?
Yes.
And what
Retail.
opportunities exist.
Absolutely.
Not residential? Did you say
residential
retail?
market? No, sorry,
Okay.
Ipileng, it is residential market.
So I'm not as involved in the residential market, but what I will say, Jayshree, is that I think one of the greatest opportunities, and you will see what has happened even before COVID, is that a lot of our property players have started moving away from your typical retail, warehousing, and commercial assets. And they've started looking at other asset classes within the property sector, such as hospitality and health. And I think the residential market, housing market, we know in South Africa how desperate the situation is, how many more people need, housing. But I think and a lot of property players have moved to that housing market from a development point of view, and there is real opportunity there, I believe. But also what I was saying earlier about the residential market is the real estate player, who is an individual who goes out and sells a home every Sunday and puts it on the market. There is a massive opportunity in that particular sector. I think particularly for players who are already registered or who want to become registered with the Estate Agencies Affairs Board, there is a bit of a process to go through that, but it is an area of growth, certainly a very untransformed area as well. And I think therein lies the opportunity. And now with the COVID impact, people who are already in the residential market, hopefully, are using this opportunity to look for the right clients who would want to sell, and therefore them being able to build up their businesses slowly but surely as well. So that's where I see some of the low-hanging fruits, Jayshree, in that sector.
Thank you so much, Ipileng. And Gary, thank you for responding directly on the chat to some of the questions that were directed to SASTEC. I will share the contact details to everyone that registered for this webinar after the session is complete. Mashlolo, we also had a comment from your CEO of Kagiso Trust on responding to the latest infrastructure report that was published. I'd like you to talk through how we have responded to some of these requests, especially writing to the minister to support us in some of these activations. If you can talk through the attendees on this as well, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jayshree. We have tried to open market doors for entrepreneurs, and we believe that government also will play quite a critical role in terms of ensuring that growing businesses, as they will be called, actually have those access to government opportunities. And we continue, as we have done, to write, for example, to the Minister, Patricia de Lille, where we're saying that can they open opportunities for our businesses, especially those who are in our program, to access them. And we believe that those opportunities will come. That is still ongoing. Where the Minister Paul is considering those opportunities, and we continue also to knock in other government doors to see how can they open these opportunities for small business. Because as I think Ndongo has said initially, it really has to start at home. So if the government is saying we calling for small businesses to actually create jobs, we need to see that happening, not just a talk. And therefore the government will have to open. You have to ask how many buildings are managed by Black small businesses, female businesses, who are in the government portfolio. So that's why then government has to be the first mover in terms of ensuring that our businesses are getting these opportunities. And I think one of the barriers is just the perception that small businesses cannot deliver. And the other side, if you don't get opportunities, how do you prove your track record and your profile that you can actually deliver? And I think PROPreneurX program like this are specifically for that particular reason. If you have our business that Gary from SASTEC has certified to say that this business has met all the requirements and is happy that it can deliver, I don't see why then the government cannot open, for example, that opportunity for that business to deliver. So we need quite a strong advocacy, both in terms of the private sector, but also more in the government, and to really challenge them. Not that nothing has been done, but we believe that more needs to be done to give these businesses an opportunity. And just one of the earlier comments about residential properties, for example, in the townships, it doesn't necessarily make sense to go right in the middle of Soweto and you find that there is a property that has been sold, but the company that's facilitating that is quite a big organization that's not residing anywhere in Soweto, and yet you've got small businesses in Soweto who can do that business. So it shows that there are still lots of barriers within that needs to be broken to give these opportunities for those businesses, even right in the backyard, in the township where these people who are operating these businesses actually residing. Because it doesn't make sense that you cannot get an opportunity if you go, for example, a Senton, as a small business. Neither can you get an opportunity in Soweto. So it shows that there's still a lot that needs to be done. And we believe that the noise that your PROPreneurX and the like are making actually is in the right direction. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you so much. Gary, I know you wanted to also add on to what Ipaleng was saying earlier. Please feel free to do that.
Thanks, Jayshree. On two things, just to add, I do think that research is showing that the world of work is changing. The new normal is going to be influencing the mix as well as the needs within the commercial property sector space. And I think there's an opportunity for entrepreneurs that are playing within that space to innovatively put forward solutions that matches that new normal. Flexible workspace. I think also there's a different appreciation now that big commercial property owners would have around the lack, previously, the lack of focus on the small business sector as a sizable market to be servicing and servicing well. Because now more space becoming available, it's not more corporates that are going to be filling that space, it's small businesses. And therefore there's a need for them too to be looking at the needs of small businesses. And the best way to do that is through their supply chain, by actually engaging with the small businesses, playing within their supply chain to better understand what their needs are. So I'm seeing opportunity coming out of this as a result of it. And then the second area is around this network of empowerment. If we as Black businesses do not have sufficient confidence in our Black brothers and sisters to do business with them as a preferred option, then how do we expect the marketplace to be doing business with us? So we've got to actually have that confidence. And you remember when we met the first time, Jayshree, I spoke to you about the FUBU principle. So at the SASDC, that's what we promote. We promote the for us, by us. We need to be creating value chains of opportunity because we all need to procure goods and services. And who better to procure it from than other businesses that understand where you are, that can associate with the challenges that you have, but want to actually give you value. And our ecosystem of Black businesses within the SASDC and our extended ecosystem through our partnerships, through those mechanisms, we really encourage Black businesses to be doing much more business with each other.
Thank you so much, Gary. And, you know, that for us, by us, thank you so much, Masholo and Ipaleng, for living out those values through Kagiso and Motseng by giving Mpho an opportunity, as an example, to do the deep clean that's required and the sanitization services. Because charity really does begin at home. And we see this as part of the family, these individuals that are part of this leadership team, as well as the organizations that have supported this. As we come to the close of the session, I'm going to just hand over to the entrepreneurs to give any advice that you may have to other entrepreneurs facing similar challenges and your closing comments. Let's start with you, Mpho.
What I could say, Jayashree, my team of PROPreneurX, I've been thinking about it last night, about what am I going to advise them with. But honestly speaking, they got it. The PROPreneurX team got it. Kagiso Trust, Butsingidi, the PROPreneurX team, my colleagues, they got it. They rock. They've got it all. I look up to them. They look up to me. The way we're motivating each other, the way we're supporting each other, it's very, humbling. It's very, I don't know how to put it. They are driven. They are willing to learn. How quickly we diversified as a team, how innovative we became as a team. To me, it's like we are a super team. We've got all the knowledge. We put Motseng, for example, to say Motseng gets a building where we need to put tenants. We've got the whole team. We've got real estate agents within the team. We've got petitioners in the team. We've got carpenters in the team. We've got people that can do aircon in the team. We've got NAMBU facilities to make sure the building is taken care of. The tenants, the landlords, I don't know how to put it. We're a full team. So it's like we're a match made in heaven for me. I'm proud to be part of this team. We're a match made in heaven. We're a super team. The only thing that I would encourage them to do, because we have done mostly, for the last 10 years, we've done mostly tendering, submitting proposals. So whenever Mokgadi and myself would like to say, let's join venture as a team, the challenge that I've picked up is compliance. But other than that, what I'm proud to say is they are independent to survive and make it in this difficult market on their own without relying on tenders. To me, I would give them a 10 out of 10. So it's amazing because we keep on looking at the negativity, how difficult, how it's challenged. It's been challenging for all of us, but we've never stopped learning. When we started the program with you at Jayashree, we're over 20 and some of them colleagues pulled out, but I stood and we were nervous. What you've taught us, we didn't know, some of us, how to present and stand boldly and present, but that is something that we're going to take with us for the rest of our lives. We can stand up and present and, say what we think, say what we are. We believe in ourselves. So this is a very great team that we've got as Motseng and Kagiso Trust. But it's something, I don't know how to put it. We are a learning example. We are a living testimony for those out there that are watching and listening, because we've been attending workshops. Mokgadi knows. We are women in construction. We've attended workshops, training, but it's talk shows, not here. Here it's reality. We're in the real world. I never thought I would be a client, Motseng or Kagiso Trust would be my client. And there's no too small or too big a job. I got 2 projects with Motseng and Kagiso Trust to sanitize. Those projects were small and large enough for me to expose my service, to jump on the opportunity. It's not all about money, sometimes it's about exposure and learning. You don't count the numbers. That is why some of the SMME don't make it. They look at the numbers and the figures. It's not about that. It's about you getting out there, making it, experiencing it, being visible, because you didn't know if you're sitting back and complaining and not experiencing whether you're going to make it or not going to make it. And I never stopped learning. Never say you know. I never say I know just. If I find an opportunity to learn, I do learn, you know. Never stop learning. So yeah, I say the PROPreneurX team is a 10 out of 10. Match made in heaven. I'm proud of being part of you guys, and I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umpo. I just love the passion from entrepreneurs that we are so privileged and honored to serve. So, Mukhadi, over to you before I hand over to Spumi. Your advice to other property entrepreneurs on how to deal with the challenges and your closing off comments, please.
Thank you. To my fellow property entrepreneurs, the reality is being an entrepreneur is a hard and lonely journey at times. But because of programs such as PROPreneurX, where you build ecosystems and you build networks, people that you can bounce ideas off, or just a support structure, such organizations are quite important. So if you can find yourself to be part of either an enterprise development program, a supplier development program, or a network of people that are in the same space that you are in, it's a very good thing to do, because you will get support from like-minded people, even during the difficult times. And I would like to say, as an entrepreneur, it's quite important for you to continue developing yourself, not only yourself, but your business and the supporting staff within your business. Because if you've got the right people in your business, and you've got the right support structures, and you've got the right operational structures, then you will be able to grow your business to the next level. That's another important thing that we've learned throughout the workshops that we've heard with Yedi and the various industry experts that we had the opportunity to have access to. And in closing, I would like to thank the stakeholders, being Kagiso Trust, Mutsing, and Sastec. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Who we were when we started the program as BuildFix and who we are now, it's two completely different organizations. We have grown in leaps and bounds. We have really achieved more than what we thought we would be able to achieve. I remember in the panel interviews when May Ipileng asked us we would like to see ourselves in 6 months and in a year's time. I must say, we are so happy that right now we've achieved most of the goals that we had set for ourselves in a year's time, within 6 months, because of the support and structure that we have received from being part of the PROPreneurX program. And to my fellow PROPreneurX, the family, we are the first cohort of this program. What I'd like to say is we have been empowered, we have been capacitated, we've gained a lot of skills from being in this program. It is up to us now to set the bar high. Let's go out there and use all the skills that we have learned. Let us take the opportunities that we get with both hands and make sure we deliver. Let us deliver and continue doing the best that we can. And thank you once again for the opportunity of being part of this program. It's really been an eye-opener and an empowering experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mukhadi. Spumi, your closing comments and advice to other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Jeshri. Let me first make a comment that, for you to grow in life, identify the people that know better than you do, and let them guide you. So in any, when you want to grow, just find yourself somebody who knows better than you do, and be teachable. Listen, and that's what we got from this program. We got people that are big players within the business space, and they advised, they taught, they gave us so much skills to be able to attend or to be able to play in this market and to grow these businesses. And I must say, entrepreneurship is a very lonely road. I remember when I left Edcon a couple of years, I made so many mistakes. I lost money in deals. I went into agreements with people and things went bad. At some point, you lose so much that you even lose your confidence, and you want to go back to being an employee and work again. And I've wanted to make that decision a couple of times because it was difficult. So I always say to somebody who wants to get into business, it's not going to be easy, but start falling in love with what you are becoming. Start looking at what will come out of what you're doing. And this program, these partners, Kagiso, Mitsing, Sestek, and Yidi, have been these mentors that will help you eliminate a lot of mistakes within this business space, because it is wrong decisions that will get you to actually think that entrepreneurship can't work. It is being alone that will affect you in this business space. But having people that know better than you do and having been teachable helps you to grow. And for me, I must say, I think I was saying to someone, I said, I've never seen somebody who's so patient with me like Jayshree, because I can be very difficult to deal with at some point. I have so many things that I do, but she's able to call me to order and say, you did not listen to this, you were not here, why were you not in the class? And she would make me realize that this program is what you need for you to grow, Spumi. So you must be at the session. Please go back to your notes. And with the deals that we are doing, I mean, yesterday I just got an order and I sent it to her just for her to look at it. And I said, this is something that has come up. And I know that she'll give me a call and say, have you looked at this and this and this? For me, it's great. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm positive. I believe that this partnership, these entrepreneurs, this family, the PROPreneurX family, we are going to grow. We are going to take the business market by storm. One day we look at each other and says, look, we've became, and I can attest to all the comments that has been made by my fellow colleagues. We appreciate. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. We grab it with both hands. We are running with it. We are willing to grow. We are willing to learn because we want to grow. And for me, I'm excited. In fact, with the COVID coming in and affecting our businesses, having to be in the family, having to be within the program has helped me think positively, helped me, sail through this sea, which was a bit frustrating. But we were able to do that because you have people around you that encourage you, that motivates you, that wants you to become better. So yes, I'm excited, and yeah, I think I've put everything into one. The advice to the businesses, and entrepreneurship and other entrepreneurs. And let me say this, which I think my colleague has mentioned, to Kagiso Mitsing Sestek, Yidi, thank you, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Spumi. Thank you so much for that. So Gary, your closing comments for this webinar, and for those of you that are viewing it on a recording later on, please share with us, Gary.
Thanks, Jayshree. Thank you to the members of the panel for their insights and for sharing, and to the audience for listening to us and for interacting with us. I'm really looking forward to what shall be referred to as PROPreneurX 2.0. We've learned a lot from this experience. I think now's the time for us to be looking at bringing on board many more partners in the commercial property space that can bring with them the opportunities that we want to expose, both the current cohort of entrepreneurs and future cohorts of entrepreneurs too within their supply chains. So I'm looking forward to just improving on all of this. And what I like about the outcome of the program is the networks that have been built. What I'm hearing the guys saying is that if there's an opportunity, virtually every requirement within that opportunity can be covered by players that have formed part of this program. So it bodes well for this whole concept of value chain development, which I believe is what we should be focusing on. We don't just do things in silo. We got to look at opportunities that link up together as we build and develop new value chains and take that to market. I hope Auntie Patricia is going to give us that opportunity that we're asking for. And that through that, 5 years from now, we'll be able to look back and say, Botseng, your listing, your shares are doing well, but look what you've supported along the way, because that's what that is all about. We've got to create intergenerational wealth among Black people. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Gary. Masholo, over to you before I move on to Ipileng. Your closing comments.
Thank you, Jezri. You know, there is something that nature does. When there is a big storm, you see the big trees being uprooted and quite the small plants remaining intact. When you come to the business side, sometimes it works to be the opposite. When there is a big crisis, you find that the small businesses are the first to bear the brunt. And I wish we can be in a position where we'll find that the small businesses exist in spite of the condition in the symbiotic relationship with big businesses. And we really want more of the likes of Motseng, you know, who sees value in bringing up small businesses and being in the same space of operation. And I must say, just we, all of us as SADC and Motseng, are learning, and we believe that we'll get lots of lessons also from the course on how to best do and deliver to create opportunities for them and those who are coming. And behind the three of us, we've got our escorts, we've got our colleagues who are really supporting and doing lots of stuff to help us also in terms of give us ideas and contribution in terms of this program. And we really look forward. And also you just because we've been quite instrumental and engaging daily with the entrepreneurs. And we're quite happy with that, and we believe that it will, the next cohort will be much more better and successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Masholo. And Ipileng, your closing comments.
Thank you, Jayshree. Jayshree, I think just to start off with, I want to echo my colleagues, everybody in this panel and what they've said. I think it's been very encouraging, very honest and open and realistic. And I think I always like to earn the caution on the side of realism. I really want to just say to the entire PROPreneurX team, you've done really, really well. I think you've really shown us that you've put your shoulders to the wheel. In a time, certainly in South Africa, I know we started late last year, where already we were seeing difficulties in our country. And I want to applaud you for that. I take my hats off to you for that. It really is not easy doing what you do, getting up and keeping yourself motivated. And I think that's what a big part of what PROPreneurX is about. It's keeping you motivated, keeping you focused, keeping you excited about your business and making you realize that there is so much more in terms of our businesses that, you know, comes from yourself, comes from the business itself and the people around you. So Jayshree, my closing words really are to say that as we look at the future of PROPreneurX and who we are in this particular commercial property sector and the future, particularly post-COVID, I think that as much as there are challenges, there are significant opportunities. And I am really, really hopeful that this partnership continues to identify excellent players who know that their journey is long, but who are prepared to walk it together. And I'm certainly excited, certainly in our organization, to continue to partner with Kagiso and SASDIC and PROPreneurX and YIDI to make sure that we make it a success. This is the first. So we may have made mistakes along the way. I know that we've learned much more. And I really, really want to say that, you know, the road may be long, but when you're journeying together, it's a far, far better journey that is, you know, guaranteed with success at the end, certainly. So thank you very much, Jayshree, and to the team. I hope that also the rest of the active listeners have gained something. Certainly, I know that I have this morning. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for that. And my final comments, thank you so much to the panel for giving off an hour and a half of your time to share some of your words of wisdom, your experiences, and just general feedback on the ecosystem, the role we need to play, as well as the challenges that you've experienced and the benefits you've gained. For me, this has been an absolute pleasure being part of a program like this. Love working with stakeholders that are as passionate about entrepreneurs as we are, and really, really hold the entrepreneurs so close to their hearts that they want to ensure the success for them every day. We will share the contact details of all of the panelists in the forms of their website and email addresses, as well as contact details for every entrepreneur that's on the PROPreneur program with everyone that registered for this webinar. Let's try and create as many access to market opportunities for these entrepreneurs. Like Gary said, for us, by us. If you've joined us on this webinar, we thank you. For those of you that have asked for more information, I have made a note of your comments and I will get back to you offline. So thank you everyone and have a lovely afternoon further.